One match down and many more to go here at day 2 of the Winter Championship of HCT. My name is Frodan. I'm joined by Brian Kibler. And coming up next, we got bloodyface from the USA going up against Jing from China, looking to see if he can follow up Yueying's fantastic performance thus far, Kibler. One person through to the quarterfinal, and it's a Chinese player.
Yeah, and we saw it done by punishing the Malagos Rogue of Viper. And this matchup could end up potentially going a similar way, because bloodyface does have a Quest Rogue in his lineup against Jing's particularly aggressive lineup.
Yeah, the aggressive lineup seems to be working out fairly well because there's a lot of greed in the metagame, and particularly through these combo decks or these slow anti-control decks like Quest Rogue. Taking a look at what they brought, bloodyface brought Quest Rogue, Clone Priest, Mid-Range Hunter, and even Paladin with his Hunter being banned.
Zoo banned in 2019, right here. Here it is.
Yeah.
bloodyface banning the single copy of Zoo we have the entire tournament, while Tempo Rogue, the Pirate Rogue deck, even Paladin, Mid-Range Hunter will be remaining. When would you expect Zoo to get banned and Hunter to stay up?
I really did not expect that, but the data does back up bloodyface's analysis. The best deck against all of his lineup, especially when Hunter is banned, is Zoo Warlock. And, you know, bloodyface still has even Paladin, which has relatively pretty good matchups. The question is, can Clone Priest and Quest Rogue handle the aggression, which I don't know if they can. And this is something that China does really well. You know, China, whenever they come to these international events, they a lot of times choose to play aggressive strategies. And, you know, I asked a Chinese player one time why that was, and they said it's because on ladder, people just play aggro decks all the time, given that, you know, ladder often becomes a efficiency of time.
Right.
So they end up playing a lot of aggro decks, and that's something that Omega Zero used to climb a lot, Shao T and all of them. So it's definitely not surprising that once again for this event, Chinese players brought an aggressive lineup.
It's true, and we will be into game number 1, which will be the even Paladin mirror match. And take a look at the specific differences between these lists. They are exceptionally similar. I'm trying to find, I'm like scrolling down the list now, and I'm literally failing to find. Oh no, bloodyface has 2 Avenging Wrath versus the 1 in Jing's deck.
Right.
And Jing has a Mojo Master where bloodyface does not.
Right. Yeah, these lists are fairly uniform. Even Paladin has largely phased out equality and chosen instead to play a little bit more early game or a little bit more tech card oriented. And Jing's opening hand here, he's going to go first, which is pretty significant. It's the fact that he has a good turn 1, turn 2, and a good turn 4. If you compare a good turn 3 with his hero power, he is going to be firing on all cylinders. And I wonder, you know, how the equality nerf really does play a factor in this matchup to help you, or rather, doesn't allow you to have those comebacks nearly as easily.
Yeah, certainly equality was a card that you could use to play a little bit of a different paced game, playing even Paladin. You could very easily sort of sandbag your early turns, then Pyro Quality or Equality Consecration. Now these decks don't have Wild Pyromancer. Very often, even Paladin would be much more of a control mid-range style. Now it's much more of an aggro mid-range style, and that is due to the nerf to Equality, making it much less efficient in this style of deck.
That's right. Now, bloodyface's saving grace is the use of the coin. You know, can he utilize that opportunity to put out a turn 4 a little bit quicker? Even decks tend to have power spikes on turns 4 and 8, and even Paladin is no exception to that. So if he's able to get that Blessing of Kings, for example, or pick up his own Corpse Taker, that might be able to be his swing turn.
Well, the big power spike really is Corpse Taker, and Jing currently has 2 of them, while bloodyface has 0. So, you know, without a way to really force the Corpse Taker into Blessing of Kings is what's really powerful. If you're able to get a Corpse Taker that is uncontested and then buff it up, that can just end the game on the spot.
Well, this Hydrologist or Argent Protector, both are pretty decent options to fill out the curve. The Hydrologist could pick up secrets that are very problematic for bloodyface if he chooses to be aggressive with his coin. You have the opportunity to also stop a big Blessing of Kings push from your opponent with a Noble Sacrifice.
Yeah, bloodyface does have the opportunity to coin kings next turn, and that's got to be something that's on Jing's mind. He doesn't want to, allow bloodyface to just get an enormous berserker that eats his berserker. So the hydrologist into either auto defense matrix or noble sacrifice at least prevents that potential, which would, of course, if a secret does come down, mean that that's unlikely to be a route that bloodyface takes with this turn.
Yeah. At the same time, I also kind of wonder, like, what are some other punishes? Consecration is not super bad because of the Yamani Berserker existing on board. Our defensive matrix is a choice here.
Yep, and that is what we see. And I would expect that to come down this turn to prevent the Berserker from getting a powerful trade.
Right. Just not straight up on the Hydrologist, or in the worst case scenario, the Blessing of Kings, as you mentioned. And now bloodyface will have to defuse the secret first. Logically, probably want to attack the Hydrologist to see what ends up happening. If it's redemption, noble sacrifice, auto defense matrix.
But the problem here for bloodyface is that he doesn't, because of this Hydrologist into secret, he doesn't really have a way to leverage his coin Blessing of Kings this turn. This is the potential to be one of those swing turns you were talking about, but the secret means that he just ends up running into too many failure cases with coin Blessing of Kings here, and is going to go ahead and just attack auto defense matrix. Is effectively the same thing as noble sacrifice here. It does leave him with that 5/1, but does not take down Jing's minion. So still stable board for the Chinese player.
Yeah, I wonder if bloodyface wants to explore his own Hydrologist secret in this position, because any coin 4 is not that amazing in this spot here.
It will be Hydrologist as well. Noble sacrifice and redemption are the real options here. Sacrifice is kind of mediocre against the Amani Berserker. Yeah, you guys go ahead and choose the redemption.
Yeah, I mean, functionally, if Jing attacks correctly here, it's going to be about the same thing.
Right.
But the real question is, can bloodyface handle the Corpse Taker?
Yeah, Jing does have Corpse Taker here, which he wants to get online as quickly as possible. One of the problems with Corpse Taker is it does weirdly get worse as the game goes on, as the chance of drawing your cards that power it up gets higher. So if he does draw, say, Wind Fury Harpy, which is his single copy of a Wind Fury minion in his deck, then the power of his Corpse Taker is reduced dramatically.
Yeah, well, he just wants to take 2 attacks off the board as well. And I think almost no matter how he does this, 1 minion will end up surviving. If he plays around auto defense matrix, he should attack with
he can attack Amani Berserker. Amani Berserker attacks
2.
into the Hydrologist, I think, is the best first attack against either redemption or auto defense.
They can trade it to the Amani Berserker there, and then play the Corpse Taker.
Right. And that does mean that, okay, well, bloodyface could have, say, Spellbreaker to get rid of at least the abilities on the Corpse Taker, but can only get a trade on the Amani Berserker, which doesn't really get you that far ahead. But it does at least get rid of Divine Shield, Lifesteal, Wind Fury.
It's true. The Wind Fury Divine Shield is the scariest part for sure. The Taunt Lifesteal is not nearly as impactful. It is minorly annoying, of course, because he would have been able to just go for an easy trade. The thing is, if he ends up having the Spellbreaker land and Jing doesn't trade, he has a Spike-Rich Steed the next turn.
Your magic shall not
So that's his possible way to help shut down the second Corpse Taker. However, Jing has that Blessing of Kings as well, so this is starting to get a little bit scary here for bloodyface. Jing just has so much momentum, and it's leveraged by the fact that he went first, but also that he has these powerful Corpse Takers.
Yeah, I'd expect the Corpse Taker to just come down this turn. He does have the option of, say, Argent Protector to take a value trade, but it's he'd rather play this Corpse Taker while it's still so powerful.
Right, and that's the correct trade too, just to shut down that coin Spiker Steed. Jing is looking very good right now. Bloodyface with the Amani Berserker pickup, not too amazing, but he does have a way to go wider onto the board, which is, I think, something that he's considering because of the Spiker Steed that's in his hand. So for example, he could set up 3 minions on the board with Argent Protector's Divine Shield on one of them, and then if any of them survive, go for a Spikered Steed. But again, the problem is he's still not dealing with the Corpse Taker.
Right, and he can't deal with the Corpse Taker, so what is just his next best option? And I think I agree with you that sort of make a wide board, force your opponent to at least use those Corpse Taker attacks trading, eating your minions in order to prevent them from going face for tons of damage.
Move quickly.
There is, of course, the fact that, well, if they have Consecration, you play these 3 minions, you're just running right into that.
Yeah. Well, this does play a little bit more to that Consecration fear.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the Mighty Berserker initially.
I think the thought process here is that Bloodyface wants the 3 attack minion on the board at least, but it is a extremely vulnerable board to this Consecration, and Jing has exactly that.
Yeah, Consecration here is pretty nasty. I like that Jing hesitates first, though, because, I mean, you have a Corpse Taker and you have a Blessing of Kings. That's still 14, 15 damage here with the extra 1/1 attack. Something worth considering, at least.
Yeah. I do think the fact that his opponent can hero power coin Spikered Steed potentially next turn means that that you can't get rid of the threat of Spikered Steed entirely, but you can at least make it very inefficient for them.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of appeal to clearing off the board to prevent any kind of stabilization with that Spikered Steed. And right now, if you do, say, you Consecration, or rather you Blessing of Kings, yes, your opponent could have, did use a Spellbreaker, might have used it on a previous turn, but your entire turn is neutralized by a Spellbreaker effect, whereas if you Consecration, you at least have cleared off their board proactively.
This is not looking good here for Bloodyface.
Reporting for duty.
Trying to think of another card to help him bail him out in this spot. He does have a second Spellbreaker, which would be really nice.
I mean, there is the possibility of, I was going to say Avenging Wrath and having it hit perfectly, which frankly may be the position that Bloodyface is in now. He'd need 4 to hit the Corpse Taker, though, and that's very unlikely.
Yeah, if he ends up going for a Hero Power Spiker Steed, the Blessing King just blows him out, right? And then almost every other alternative is not great. Like, any kind of 2-drop plus Blessing of Kings himself is not that great. So it might be that Avenging Wrath pull. Wonder what the math is behind this to calculate.
I mean, one of the big things too is that Bloodyface has not seen a Spellbreaker from Jing. So it's not just Blessing of Kings. Blessing of Kings or Spellbreaker makes this Spikered Steed pretty terrible. And obviously the chance of success of Avenging Wrath here is low. Yeah, he's going to go for the Spikered Steed, though. And this is kind of the safe play to try and stay alive.
He just lines up so perfectly with his Blessing right back. In fact, he can do it twice over.
Yeah, he could actually even Blessing of Kings and Argent Protector here.
Right.
Which preserves even more of the health on this minion.
I think
I'm not sure that's necessary.
You probably Argent Protector afterwards to stop any.
Yeah. Well, there's no equality though.
Oh yeah, you're right. He's not playing a list with equality.
Right. So it actually the only well, you could prevent, say, like a True Silver, but there's no True Silver plus damage. Kind of a True Silver into your 7-attack minion. They're in bad shape anyway.
Yeah, it's just it's slightly better against like Avenging Wrath, for example, because you have 2 health instead of the 1 that needs to get hit. I don't know if it's that impactful in this position.
I must move quickly.
Yeah, not really much to really consider here for Jing. Just put up as much pressure as possible,
Yep.
and now Bloodyface really wishing that this Avenging Wrath hits perfectly.
Yeah, this is a major. Okay, can't even hit it anymore. Just not enough.
That's just game.
Yep, and Bloodyface will concede, meaning Jing takes the mirror match. And that's always a pretty big one, because whenever 2 lineups have the same deck, obviously getting over the hump with one of them in the mirror match is a pretty big edge.
Yeah, although I will say that this even paladin from Jing was likely to take a win anyways against the clone priest
Yes.
or the quest
Also
rogue.
true.
The deck for us, at least in my perspective, to focus on is, can he beat the tempo rogue? Because those matchups are a lot closer, at least on paper, than it is for the other aggressive decks. You know, mid-range hunter will get a win most likely against one of these decks from bloodyface.
I think the big question mark for bloodyface is that quest rogue. That is going to be his weakest deck overall in this lineup, I think, against Jing's aggressive decks, and it could really struggle. So if that can get over, it's more likely he can actually win the match.
All right, well, that's just game 1 in the books here. We're going to find out if Jing can continue China's momentum to advance to the round of 8. We'll be back in just a sec.
The name bloodyface is not like something that has super significance with me. I was drunk playing Hearthstone with my friends at like 3 in the morning, and I was making an account, and I'd never played the game before, and we were watching a TV show called American Horror Story, and I was just could not think of a screen name, so I literally put down the first thing that popped in my mind. Little did I know it'd carry on with me into my professional career. I feel like as I climb the rank ladder, I'm definitely collecting more blood on my face, you know, the blood of my victims, as any serial killer would do.
Yeah, different options as well, which is what is confusing us.
Basically just freestyled on us.
I don't want people to come think I'm actually a serial killer, though. I quit my software engineering job earlier last year to pursue Hearthstone full-time. I wasn't qualified for any big tournaments when I quit my job. I wasn't a big streamer. I pretty much had next to no resources other than some money I'd saved up. And I basically had a dream of being a Hearthstone player, and I put in a lot of hard work and put in a lot of effort. You know, it is possible to, you know, take a risk and have it pay off.
Bloodyface, showing that control can get the job done versus aggro, even with these quest rogues.
So it's pretty frequent that I'll stay up for 24 hours prepping. I feel a lot of anxiety, you know, getting closer to the deck submission deadline. I just want to make sure every card in my lineup's perfect. When I'm not playing Hearthstone and I want to find my happy spot, the best thing I do is just take a bath. I find taking a bath just to be very relaxing, just soaking in the water. To my fans, I'll stay as calm and collected during the match as I am in my bathtub.
我是凌乱镜，虽然我是个新人，但是我足够努力，然后心态现在也放得比较平和，然后这次比赛我会就是把自己表现到最好，把自己的风格也会展现到极致吧，然后希望大家能够支持我。我的专业是传媒学，然后其实我学的专业和我现在现在从事这个炉石竞技，我认为是或多或少有一些联系的。就是我会把之前在学校学到一些专业知识去用到竞技炉石，所涉及到的其他一些层面吧，比如说比赛解说，或者是做主播这些类型。所以说我还是蛮热爱我的专业的，也蛮热爱炉石，对。我认为就是一对一的这种竞技比赛是能完全的，印证，就是能够证明自己的实力吧。另一方面的话，我认为就是竞技炉石，也会给我带来一些就是生活中的一些乐趣吧。就每次去参加竞技比赛，会认识到更多的朋友，还有就是和我一样足够对炉石有热爱的这种。一帮热血青年，所以说在这个过程中也收获了自己的友谊，所以我非常热爱竞技炉石。如果我夺冠的话，我认为原因的话一定是源于我首先最主要的是对炉石足够的热情和投入。虽然口头上说是运气，但是运气往往都会站在那个就是足够准备足够充分，而且表现足够好的那一边。所以，我虽然一直在强调运气，但其实我更多的是在比赛中尽量的把自己做到最好。然后，我认为自己做到最好，那个所谓的运气就会偏向你这边。
All right, well, you heard from the players themselves on how they approach their deck building and what they really feel like going into the championships. And it's a very real and relatable experience from my end. A lot of nerves and a lot of anxiety.
I also just kind of want to take a bath.
That's also very relatable too.
Gotta get the blood off your face.
That's right. That's right.
That's
Wash the evidence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm not a serial killer. I just really like taking baths to get rid of all the evidence.
Yeah. Or he's hiding in plain sight, right? By just like declaring that he is, ironically.
I mean, when you just seem like so calm in such incredibly high pressure situations, that's the sort of thing that leads people to believe you're a sociopath.
Yeah, or you just, queue up Hearthstone every day and smile for the camera with your Pomeranian dog.
Everyone needs their cover, man, okay?
Going into game number 2, we have Priest versus Hunter. This is the clone Priest from bloodyface. bloodyface, he said that he really wanted to bring the topsy-turvy Priest. He said he wanted to bring a card druid, but said this is just not the meta for it. And he's kind of right. If he did bring that, I would say that he has like a very low, like 10% chance maybe to get out of the series. But now, because he brought decks that have a little bit better of an anti-aggro plan for things like Spirit Lash comebacks, I think that he does have a shot. This is still a tough matchup, though, about 60-40 in favor of the Hunter. But, I mean, that's I'll take those odds if I'm bloodyface and I'm going up against an aggro lineup.
Yeah, this is Clone Priest has been a very popular deck on the ladder for a while now. Originally, kind of emerged as kind of a meme deck. It was like, oh, I'm playing this ridiculous big minion control deck, combo deck, and then people sort of realized, oh wait, this actually is a pretty powerful deck.
Yeah.
And part of that is because despite being this long game control combo deck, it gets to play Mass Hysteria, it gets to play Spirit Lash, it gets to play Psychic Scream. It has a ton of tools to keep itself alive as long as the opponent doesn't go too fast. And SNJing, though, did pick up that Dire Mole in turn 1 for the dreaded Mole into Crackling Razor Maw opening.
Yeah.
That is extremely powerful and extremely fast.
Yeah, if he gets that +3 attack, that will be pretty devastating for bloodyface to start things off here. Not game ending. Very. Oof.
All right.
Yeah, those
Ow.
claws are on fire. It is a lot of damage coming in, especially when you have things like Timberwolf and whatnot to really add to that damage. bloodyface might be in that position where, if the attack keeps getting bigger, he might Shadow Word Death at Dire Mole.
If that Timberwolf comes out, boom, death.
I mean, it's still a turn away from 2 turns away from Mass Hysteria, so he might have to do something like that.
We did have that little bit about bad catchphrases. You just have a bad catchphrase for the Dire Mole into Crackling Razor Maw. Holy moly! I'm surprised Admirable has not done that one yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the thing about Admirable and his catchphrase is that if someone else is going to do it, he doesn't want to encroach on someone's territory. He's very respectful. He has to come up with something original himself. But for SNJing, he's got ways to really add to that damage right now. He's got that Timberwolf, Spring Paw. He can pretty much just also take this very slow. He can coin out the flanking strike as well to add a little bit more pressure onto the board. It's not like his hand is curving out to anything dramatic either, so utilizing the coin now could be something beneficial to him later on. As well.
One thing that SNJing really does need to keep in mind, though, is that killing this Gargoyle does give bloodyface a coin, which means that Mass Hysteria is a potential option next turn. So he wants to try to leave a board that is as strong against Mass Hysteria as he can.
Right. Well, there are 3 minions, and Mass Hysteria means that it'll leave at least a 3-attack minion or better. In the best case scenario, the Wolf attacks the Razor Maw. And then in the worst case scenario, he's stuck with the Razor Maw. It's not the end of the world, I think. He still gets some damage to keep pushing through. So if bloodyface chooses to use that Mass Hysteria, he's removing basically 6 attack, more or less.
Man,
Definitely
I think
not less.
bloodyface needs to. I mean, right here, he's threatening. He's being threatened by 10 damage on board. And if a Timberwolf comes down, that's 13 damage.
Yeah,
and that's just
18.
That's just so much damage.
Right. Yeah, we're not mathematicians or anything, but that's a lot of damage. And in this position, bloodyface can't really afford to take too much more because then he's going to have to play, Spirit Lash and Radiant Elemental and pray for defensive hopes. At that point, Hunter is just closing in, and they're just going to change their game plan to just be all out aggressive.
The problem is that coin into Mass Hysteria means that, okay, well, I kill 2 of these, and I am significantly slowing the aggression. But what happens next? What's my next plan? I'm actually going to Eternal Servitude for the Gargoyle. Wow. Okay, so he is taking things very slow.
Oh man. So if you're Jing,
You're 1 damage off lethal.
yeah, you're so close. Do you go for it?
So let's say you Timberwolf into kill command, put your opponent to 1 life. Then let's say your opponent has Spirit Lash. They can Spirit Lash, and because they have to Spirit Lash, they can't just cast Mass Hysteria because they're dead.
Right.
To
But
your
even
hero
then,
power.
the Spirit Lash.
Spirit Lash does not save you, I don't think. You can attack into, well, you cast it first. You gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 life. You put yourself to 6. You attack into one of the 3 health minions, the Dire Mole. So you still have 6 more damage in the board. So you're still dead.
I want to go face. I want to pressure my opponent as best as I can.
You actually don't even need to necessarily play the kill command here because you can just play it off next turn and weave in the hero power too. So there's no reason to put them to 1. You actually just squeeze out damage over turn more effectively with the hero power here. Also, your opponent doesn't necessarily know, okay, well, there's kill command. I'm dead if I don't gain more life. All right, well, there's another Mass Hysteria.
So, if you Radiant Elemental Spirit Lash, you can double coin and place Mass Hysteria, I believe, and that allows you to actually, I think it's a guaranteed clear at that point. Because there's 4 minions and they all have enough attack to kill each other.
I believe that's correct.
So I think that should be Bloodyface's.
Yeah, that's actually his best case scenario for sure, and it's I think the only way he doesn't die against specifically kill command.
He's at 9, but he does have Shadow Essence coming up, and
right.
Let's see what he can pull off of that. You could get like the Lich King, for example, or Ziliax.
Wait,
does he
have enough mana for that? He will have, it's 3 for this, so it's 2. Yeah, no, he does. Right. So Radiant plus Spirit Lash.
Quickly.
Oh, is he just going straight for like a Ziliax in this position?
Unity.
Oh my gosh! How did he do that? What?
Wow. All right.
But is he just dead anyways? Just kill command.
He still just
faster?
dies. Kill command still kills him here. Yeah, just kill command the Ziliax, go to face.
I get what he's trying to do, because he says if he doesn't have kill command, then he would have to punch through this and he'd gain a bunch of life, and he could save Spirit Lash for like the big swing through
But if he doesn't
down
if he doesn't hit exactly Ziliax, he's 100% dead.
Right, Ziliax, he had Lyra, Lich King, Malygos, Prophet Valen, and Thaunos as oh no, he doesn't have Thaunos on his list. So you had four minions you could have gotten besides Ziliax, which was very risky in itself.
Right. So, I mean, we were trying to create a scenario. It's like, okay, what can I do to beat kill command? And clearly, Bloodyface's thought was, well, I can't beat kill command.
Right.
And I can't use all of my resources here to try to put myself in a situation to just not die next turn. But you know, he got the best possible scenario and still died to Jing's aggression there.
All right, well, that's a 2-0 lead for Jing, and I think Bloodyface is getting pushed already this quickly. His back is to the wall. We're going to find out what happens when we come back to the HCT Winter Championship.
Most players are on the same tier, but I do believe that some players are on the next level, being able to build new decks that people don't expect and trying to push the metagame even further. The level 1 style of thinking is, oh, they nerfed aggro decks, I'm just going to bring greedy decks because the aggro decks are now weaker. Well, the next level of thinking is, okay, well, because people are bringing really greedy decks, I'm going to try and build aggro decks to beat them. For this tournament, I ended up testing a lot of different aggro decks. I really wanted to bring an all aggro lineup. The problem was, aggro kind of has a big question mark over it. It hasn't really proven itself since the nerfs, with Odd Rogue and even Shaman and Hunter all taking hits. It just felt like the power level wasn't really there. Because the nerfs were announced 2 weeks before the deck submission deadline, it's kind of hard to figure out how the meta is going to develop because of that. Bunny Hopper brought full aggro, and he has the best group for his lineup. From a number standpoint, Bunny Hopper is very favored, but just because on paper you're 55% to to win against them. If you're playing against the best players in the world, they're going to try and close that margin as much as possible. So I just felt like if aggro's not that good, I'll just bring the most greedy decks that I can while also trying to have an edge against the most greedy decks. If you're the driving force of the metagame, you're always one step ahead of everyone else. And just because you know all the best decks in the meta doesn't mean you know how to beat the meta. I think everyone in this tournament that's not already qualified for Worlds definitely wants me, Bunny Hopper, and Viper to all do well, because that increases their chances of making it to Worlds. Although I think my opponents still are looking to beat me.
因为我是就是这次的阵容是4套快攻嘛，然后我的 lineup 就是比较偏进攻性的，然后那么显而易见，我最害怕的卡组一定是就是抓快类型的卡组。幸运的是就是我的分组情况其实不至于那么乐观，就是劣势对局也没有那么大吧。快攻其实是我最擅长的一个体系吧，然后这就是自己在比赛里使用的，在大赛里使用的套牌一定是自己最擅长而且最喜欢的，这是首当其冲的。其次是我分析了一下这次16个人的就是风格和特点吧，我认为就是其实我用我的擅长的体系正常的去出阵的话，优势对局其实是要大于劣势对局。因为最主要的是动物园这个牌比较贴切我的整体的这么一个阵容，因为我是4块嘛，4块的话，我认为动物园其实是很贴切我的这么一个进攻性四块阵容的。然后这是第一点，第二点是自我玩炉石的第一套成体系的卡组就是动物园，所以说可能我对这套卡组也是比较有感情吧。
The Hearthstone Championship Tour continues. It's go time. This is the HCT Winter Championship.
SNJing has already got to the top 8. Will Jing join him as he is up 2-0 over bloodyface? This is the first half of the day yesterday was kind of dominated by China's performance, and then the second half was close, but no cigar. And I think if there's anything that we've talked about in the pre-show, as well as throughout the arc theme of the weekend, is can China finally put their stamp on the global stage? And Jing is one game away from doing exactly that.
Jing's kind of caught between the two storylines we have here, which is China's resurgence as well as the power of these aggressive decks. And he is in the situation where, well, he's got these really powerful aggressive decks which have been put in bloodyface in difficult situations that he's not been able to get out of so far.
That's right. Or just a reminder that Jing's Grim Rally token Zoo Warlock, which I mean, Zoo does have a lot of minions anyways, but it's especially board flood heavy than compared to other decks. That got banned. And instead, he's playing this Pirate Tempo Rogue up against the Quest Rogue. Now, the data's there's not a lot of data out there, and it implies that this matchup is pretty even, which I don't think is the case. I would
be very surprised if that were true.
I think it's just largely a very weak sample size, given how new this deck is and how rare it is for people to want to play Quest Rogue, let alone play it on ladder. So I think that the people who are brave enough to venture with Quest Rogue onto ladder are one, teching heavily against aggro because they understand that odd paladin is still a thing. Even shaman is still like on ladder represented decently. So when you play Quest Rogue on ladder, you tend to want to have those anti-aggro tools. And then two, people who are mad enough to play Quest Rogue on ladder are pretty good at it.
Yeah. And Jing, he's going to go ahead and keep the Myra's Unstable Element in his opening hand. Does find Edwin Van Cleef as well. So the possibility for a fast Edwin here, which is less crushing in this matchup than it is in some others, simply because of the presence of Glacial Shard and Wax Elemental and the like, but can still put a lot of pressure on very quickly.
Yeah, agreed. Do want to point out that both of these players did end up getting the sweeps too early on, right? So it was like a pretty fast, convincing victories from the previous day.
I think Jing won 3-1.
Oh, actually, you're correct. He was the first person to.
His match was the first one that actually had a player take a win and not win the series.
It was 3-1 though, so it was still like not as close as as we saw some of the second half matches. With a hand like this, can also do something similar because you mentioned that Van Cleef. I'm kind of wondering with each cheap spell picked up, how big can that bad boy get?
Well, if he finds, say, Eviscerate here, there's Deadly Poison. All right, well, maybe Bloody Fist will place in the next turn.
Right.
Can Hero Power now. Next turn he could play, say, Coin, Deadly Poison, Backstab, Van Cleef.
Right.
Would be a potent turn for sure.
That'd be really good. And plus, he has a great combination of having Edwin Van Cleef do damage early on and refill all the resources he used to pump Van Cleef with Myers and Stable Element. It's a holy matrimony.
Choose soon.
Jing taking his time, wondering. I mean, he does have the opportunity to coin out the Van Cleef right now.
So
He
many.
can make a 4/4 now, which has at least some appeal for sure. Just get a relatively quick clock on. Looks like he's going to be a little bit greedier though.
I do like it because if he waits a turn, he can get that 4/4, extra 4/4, and make Van Cleef an 8/8, which essentially makes the damage you would have gotten anyways.
Right. There's that wax element we talked about though.
Oh man. Now that you have a Deadly Poison and a Captain Greenskin, that is a lot of damage. That would be 12 damage off that weapon because it'd be a 4/3. And, well, I mean, that already gets you more than a third of the way through to kill your opponent. And that being said, it doesn't line up very cleanly with the Van Cleef play.
Yeah, because Bloody Face has not yet played a minion, you don't have an opportunity to backstab, so you really can still only make Van Cleef as a 6/6 if you want to use your coin with Deadly Poison. But Jing doesn't really want to give Bloody Face time, is the thing. And
Exactly.
I think that now he's going to pull the trigger, even though, yes, Van Cleef can get bigger. And he's definitely going to commit it here. Here we go. 6/6 Van Cleef. Definitely a part of a fast clock. But as we see in Bloody Face's hand, there's a Glacial Shard. There's a Wax Element. There's a lot of ways to mitigate the damage from this Van Cleef. I mean, this turn could even be Glacial Shard, bounce it, and play Wax Elemental if Bloody Face wants.
Yeah, I think when your opponent improves any kind of weapon that they have, whether upgrade or Captain Greenskin, or in this case, Deadly Poison, you have the ability to drop these taunt minions to absorb that big damage. Before, if it's just a one-attack dagger, it feels like a waste of the Wax Elemental. Now, Jing would have to invest more damage into it.
Right.
So I do like that play. Glacial Shard is also a very likely candidate for a bouncing quest completion because you need to stop those aggressive plays. And it makes a lot more sense when your opponent puts that big Van Cleef.
Well, Glacial Shard is particularly powerful against this build of Rogue because it doesn't go super wide in the board. It does have Fireflies and deckhands and such, but it's not like Odd Rogue, which has tons of one-drops. It generally invests in a big weapon or a big to mid-sized minion like a Hench Clan Thug, and yeah, it's a great opportunity for Bloody Face to get some value here. There's also the Elven Minstrels in hand, so there's a lot of reload for Bloody Face after the fact, and frankly, the Wax Elemental can protect this the Glacial Shard next turn too, if he does Glacial Shard your Van Cleef again and play Minstrel. So Jing would have to be able to get through to kill the Glacial Shard to prevent an additional bounce effect from the Minstrel, or even just another Glacial Shard being drawn to stop the quest progression.
Yeah, well said. I think Glacial Shard is still probably even in that scenario against Odd Rogue one of the better cards to bounce to finish the quest. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Even despite going wide, I think that's how crucial it is, and why having that double Elven Minstrel to get that second Glacial Shard is going to be so crucial.
More to my point is that I think it's even better here,
right?
Because your opponent is investing in, say, buffing a weapon with Deadly Poison, so freezing their face is a big deal. And obviously here, there's Jing did not have a quick start because his deck does not have nearly as many one-drops as Odd Rogue, and thus the power of Glacial Shard to mitigate mid-game damage is huge.
Right. I wonder if Jing can set up the Shadow Blade. But the thing is, it's not too much different than just playing, keeping this dagger and then going Captain Greenskin, but you do get rid of the Divine Shield, which is kind of annoying.
And I think the backstab here is in part a nod to the threat of perhaps prep Vanish, giving the additional bounce effect to bloodyface. Ooh, and that, speaking of bounce effects, that Shadow Step draw is fantastic because it allows him to set up Glacial Shard into the Minstrel, and even if he doesn't find a second Glacial Shard, there's Shadow Step to protect it.
Right, and now with that second Elven Minstrel to help weed through more decks, he can wait until he gets yet another bouncer.
Another preparation. Not what Jing is looking for. And you see just mid-sized minion, the absolute prey of these Glacial Shards.
Yeah, maybe that's why this matchup is closer to even, because if you're able to find that Glacial Shard and continue to keep bouncing it, and you vanish these mid-sized minions which take a lot of mana to play, then they don't really get their offense started whatsoever.
Yeah, my gut was definitely that it felt like it ought to be pretty favored for the Tempo Rogue, but we're seeing here how the Glacial Shards and Wax Elementals are just mitigating so much damage. And granted, I do think Jing's opening here has been fairly weak. He didn't have a Hench Clan Thug. He didn't have a Firefly. He hasn't really been able to get chip damage in, which does make the burst damage potential of this deck, which is higher than Odd Rogue, thanks to having Eviscerates plus the bigger weapons, Deadly Poison, and such. And more access to those weapons thanks to raiding party as well.
Yeah, and also, to be fair, there's 30 of this sample size. So it's not exactly like we have, like, it's not exact science.
So you're saying the numbers are perfect.
Well, I mean, 38 games is kind of like a play session, if you will. If you're practicing for a tournament, you're like, okay, we got like 20, 25, 30 games in, so we generally have a good idea of how this matchup goes.
I wonder.
It is data taken from high legend play, though, or higher level play. Jing picks up the Dread Corsair, so if he chooses to go more aggressive through like the unstable element this turn, he can squeeze that all in. And honestly, I don't know how much longer he wants this game to go, so I wouldn't be opposed to that idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely an argument for Jing to just send as much as he can to the face right now, like unload his hand, and just try and go for it, because he knows there's another freeze effect in bloodyface's hand.
Right.
If he gets him to 12, I actually can't get him to 12 here. He's gonna fight for the board a little bit. All right.
I like this up over the weapon because I think this kind of indicates he's leaning towards that unstable element, needs to get more out of his hand, and he wants to burst because he might have a chance to lethal next turn. Let's say he prep Myers Unstable Element, and then with the 5 mana remaining picks up like a Sousy Deckhand and 2 Eviscerates. That's 2, 4, 8, 10, 13, and then Van Cleef plus Dread Corsair.
Van Cleef is almost certainly getting frozen here, right?
Sure.
Jing
So
knows that this is not gonna get a.
That would still be 16 then, assuming the Dread Corsair gets to hit phase.
Yeah. So bloodyface, I mean, he's picked up a couple of awkward cards here, frankly. From he hasn't found another bounce effect, so he has no way to ensure that if he replays this Glacial Shard, that it's going to be able to help keep advancing his quest. He has not found Sonya to be able to use, the Boar to advance quest. He hasn't found Vanish. So there's a lot of key elements that bloodyface is in fact missing, despite having an excellent early game.
Right, and he needs to hold on to like at least one Vicious Scale high, so that way if he gets the quest completed, he has a way to bounce back his life total. Goes for it anyways. I like it though. You have to kind of be aggressive to win some of these worst matchups.
I think this is recognition that he has to get something going here. He can't try and play.
It's a good draw.
He can't try and play a slow game where he needs to ensure that he has the bounce effect. He's got to say, okay, well, I need to slow your damage down because I could just die, and I need to get this health gain from the Scale Hide in play for exactly the same reason. I'm clearly under a lot of pressure, and I don't have the tools to turn the corner yet, so I need to take a risk.
Jing has a couple of really interesting plays, kind of speaking about risk. Like, does he want to Vile Spine and then clear a minion? Does he want to SI7 Agent? Like, he can play one of the combo cards, and then Myers Unstable. I think and he's making that exact debate right now. It's like, Vile Spine Slayer helps me get 2 attacks out at once, and then I can also just dagger down this 2-1. But then I can also Myers and Stable Element first, see if I pick up backstab, and then backstab the 2-1.
Right. It's also just, do I want to Myers now?
That's also a fair.
Does he want to
yeah.
wait a turn, perhaps? I don't think so. I think he wants to fire it up now because, you know, much like bloodyface has recognized, okay, the window's closing, Jing. Ooh, there's another Eviscerate, a backstab.
Ooh, that's a big pickup. The backstab is huge. That doesn't go 3 to the... Oh, okay, I actually killed the Vicious Scale High. Makes most sense for SNJing. Double head can't thug Raiding Party. Raiding Party not that great.
Raiding Party's a dead card here. Shadowblade is okay, but it doesn't give him more burst damage next turn at least.
Sure.
The 2 thugs are similarly okay. Oh, and there it is!
That is brutal. Bloodyface 1 card away from being able to survive. But that Quest Rogue falls, and it goes to show you once again, don't sleep on the aggressive decks. Everybody is talking about 1-turn kill and combo and anti-control, but aggro still finds a way.
Yeah, we got a little caught up in looking at how good of a unstable element was. Well, it was good enough because, you know, Jing was already in a very solid position there, and bloodyface, you know, he had to take the risk of turn before. Didn't quite pay off because Jing was able to find the tools to answer his board and keep him off of that quest.
Yeah, Quest Rogue definitely has a lot of powerful matchups in this field, but not against the Chinese players that are bringing full-out balls to the wall aggro. And, you know, Jing is able to get the 2nd spot in the top 8 right now. Out of the 2 players that's advanced, both of the players in the quarterfinals are Chinese. Yeah,
historically, when we've had these championship events, we've frequently been talking about will China be able to rally back, but now will the other regions be able to rally back? Because as we do see, Jing is the group winner, while bloodyface falls down to the decider match where he will face the winner of Tyler and Bailey.
Yeah, that's going to be happening tomorrow, and we have Jing on the sidelines waiting in just a second, but I do want to call out one thing that I believe Just Saiyan was talking about before this event happened. He said, according to his predictions after a spreadsheet, that China would be a region that would do well this event. And, you know, people were looking at all the star players that were already in the event, like all the World Championship qualified players like Tyler, bloodyface, Viper, and Bunny Hopper, and then they're looking at Ike, and they're like, yeah, like Ike's a great player, brought good decks. You know, what about some of these players that are being ignored, like the Chinese that we don't know too much about? And, you know, every time we say that, they end up disappointing a little bit on the stage. But this time around, they've definitely earned their mark on the global stage.
Just look at this morning. World qualified competitor Viper, then bloodyface, fell to Yiying, and then Jing.
That's right. That's right. And he's not a rapper. Jing is waiting and standing by for a couple words on his victory.
Thanks very much, Dan and Kibler. I'm joined by Jing after his 3-0 victory over bloodyface, a sweep, and that means 2 Chinese players through to the quarterfinals already after match number 2. And I know we asked you about it yesterday, but did you honestly expect before this tournament took place that your aggro lineup, after building it, would make it 2-0 through your group?
非常恭喜你3-0横扫了 bloodyface 晋级8强。那在比赛之前提交卡组之前，你有想过就是你的快攻的4块的卡组能够直接获得2-0的一个大比分吗？
我有想过，因为快攻本来就比较容易赢。
I've thought about it because aggro lineup is pretty strong in tournament.
Fair enough. Easy question, easy answer, I suppose. So we talked to you early on in the week, and you told us that you're a broadcast student in China. Do you want to do this interview instead of me?
就是我们之前了解到你是学传播的，就是播音主持。然后TJ 想问你愿不愿意和他做一个采访，就是作为
我觉得现在还在我的比赛阶段吧，然后之后的话，如果有机会，我当然蛮愿意尝试的，但现在还是想一门心思打比赛。对。
I prefer to focus on my competition currently, yeah. But after I take the champion, I probably will try.
Okay, so after you win, you'll interview me on the stage, right?
就如果你最后夺冠了之后，你可以愿意采访一下 TJ 吗？
没问题。
No problem.
I like it. I like it. All right. Well, looking forward to the quarterfinals. You have about a full day and a little bit more to rest before that. Is there any player you're particularly afraid of moving forward now that you're one match away from qualifying to the World Championship?
就是你明天可以休息1天来准备这个之后的比赛。那在之后的比赛当中，有没有说哪一名选手是你比较不想去对阵的？
其实我现在还没有仔细的看现在晋级情况，然后我明天准备的时候，我再具体看一下我之后会碰到的对手吧。然后之前主要还是把心思着重放在当下的比赛了。对。
I haven't thought about it a lot, but I will definitely do my homework starting now, and I'll have like a full day to prepare for it tomorrow.
All right, well, good luck with that preparation and good luck in your quarterfinal match. Congratulations once again. And with that, let's send it back over to Brian and Dan.